Hey guys, I am testing out the setup in an actual walk. Also, good morning, afternoon. I just waited until I came out for a walk because it's a nice day out before I started filming stuff. So, I guess the first thing that I should get out of the way is... Oh boy, things have kind of overgrown really fast here. Oh, got assaulted by a... There's like a fly or a mosquito or something that's buzzing around me. Fuck off. Okay, anyway, so first things first, I think I don't need a cover for the camera, like sunglasses. I don't think I do. It looked really overexposed when I was out there before I walked into the forest, but anyway. Okay. First things first. I've said that already a few times. What's the deal with the past few days? What have I come to figure out? Oh, I got to... Someone's coming. Here, I'll step off to the side for him. All right. Yeah, this is also a really nice bike path that you can do. I don't have a bike that I could really use to do this. And I haven't ridden a bike in a really long time. Maybe I'll do biking at some point. I kind of like walking, though, so I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, like I was saying, so the anger, the frustration, all of those feelings, where's it all coming from? Why am I feeling that way? And underneath it all, I realized part of it's actually coming from, what's it called? A lot of this is definitely okay. All right, I'm backing up a little bit because I talked about not wanting to explain myself a bunch. And so I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum. But, there's a balance. Zero explanation and just saying things won't really help. But doing a ton of explanation obviously doesn't help either. So I'm gonna try to work on getting a middle ground. Okay. So, oh, by the way, I brought a extra battery just in case. Okay. So, the short, simple version a lot of that anger came up because That's how I used to feel. And coming back and not having an immediate next goal was frustrating, because I thought that I was going to have some sort of invitation or something to know where my next step is. And I realized that part of it is having that would limit the impact that me letting go would actually be. And what I mean by that is, if I let go with knowledge of the next thing, then it wouldn't really prove to me that trusting in spite of all is the way to go. I don't know if that makes sense or not. It's kind of like, I talked before the trip, I talked a lot about having a backup plan and all of this other stuff, and how not having a backup plan is really important, because if you don't have a backup plan, when you're doing this like self-proving, because obviously the universe doesn't need to prove anything. The universe just is. And it's me who struggles to comprehend how the universe works, because I'm not able to. I'm not able to comprehend all of the intricacies. And so there's this, again, coming back to balance, there's this idea of full trust while still being discerning and using planning. What does that look like? I don't know. I'm not really too sure. But, like an example, in my current situation, letting go of what opportunity will look like and where I'll be leaving to, all of that is that's stuff I can't control. I can't control how things show up to me. What I can control is the things I carry with me. So an example, all of the things that I own. I talked about cleaning, really sorting through things, figuring out what I care about, what I don't care about. That's something within my control that I can do and I can focus on. Hi, birdies. Hi. So that's one thing. Another thing is I can control what I eat, which, to be fair, I've been eating kind of okay, but it's definitely borderline, like, I need to tighten up on my eating a bit. mainly I need to work out portion sizes for meat products and then mix it in so that I can do this balance of non-meat products mixed with meat products. Because for the most part, and you know, well, I'll just say for the most part, all of the vegetarian and vegan stuff I was eating before was fine. It made me feel really good. It's just when I'm out doing things, it's harder, depending on where I'm at, to eat completely vegan. Vegetarian's a lot easier, but it's still hard because you need to get enough protein, and not having meat sources, it's a whole thing, right? So so that's another thing I can control, and I should be working on. Is obviously letting go of the future and focusing on the present, and letting go of what can be. These are all things that, sorry, I'm going to move this to the side just so that it's an extra little thing. I got to remember to do that, because I feel like people can, if you've been in this area before, you can definitely recognize where I'm at. But I'd rather not have a sign saying this is where I'm at in the video if I can help it. But anyway, so looping back around, all of those things are things that I can control. What I can't control is how other people approach me, if and when they approach me, why they approach me. And so, really, it doesn't matter what anyone's doing. I need to just be myself, which, you know, I've been saying that for the past month or more. So that's nothing new. But yeah, so, okay. So getting that out of the way. The anger and frustration. It felt almost like a PTSD response, because in the past, I would quite literally lie in bed and cry while begging and pleading and praying for help, for something to change. And nothing would ever happen. Now, I understand why. Because you have to meet the universe halfway, if that makes sense. You can't expect for something to show up without you changing the way you do things. Because the universe wants to give you everything you desire. But you have to be in the frequency that pulls you to that that timeline effectively, using what I've been talking about with timelines and stuff, because that's the best way I've been able to kind of make sense of this understanding I have. Basically, you resonate with the timeline, you get pulled to that timeline, and you, from an individual perspective, cannot feel or see what happens with the actual timeline jump stuff. However, there are some actual clues that you can kind of keep in mind. You know, the Mandela effect, things like that. Those are actually interesting little hints that if you remember something differently than it actually was, and you have a lot of those, I would surmise that that would be symbolism that you have jumped at least a couple, 1, 2, however many timelines, in order to get to where you're at. For better or for worse, you know, just like, that's how I kind of view what's happening. And with that being said, how is it, if you have a desire for something, how is it that you can manifest it into bringing you there, bringing your resonance to that reality that you envision? And also, I'll say, it's not about specifics. You don't want specifics. Because, you know, it's counterintuitive. You'd think, oh, well, shouldn't I just wish for $1 million? And it's like, yeah, you can. And, you know, what I'm about to talk about will work for that. But what you want to aim for, the highest level of manifestation, is manifesting from the perspective of someone who, like, let's say you say that you want $1 million, okay? That's a desire you have. Have you gone down to the root with that desire to figure out if that actually is what you want? And my answer is almost certainly no, you haven't. Because most, if not all, oh, look at that, a little beetle guy. Most, if not all, of the actual desires we have at the root, they have nothing to do with money. They have nothing to do with status. They have nothing to do with physical possessions. Those are all placeholders for more deep, fundamental desires. And that's why, if you wish for the thing, and then you get it, and it doesn't satisfy you, you're like, what the fuck? Because guess what? Your desire was never, I want a new car. Your desire was, I want to be seen, or I want people to care about me, or I want to feel loved or accepted, or, you know, these more fundamental things. And these are the things that you want to be manifesting. Because if you manifest from the root, whatever it shows up as, you're going to be happy with. Whereas if you get $1 million and your desire was safety, guess what? That $1 million is not going to make you feel safe. So this is why it's so important to understand the root of your desire first before you manifest, because manifesting the root will genuinely make you happy. So getting back to this anger and frustration that I was feeling, I didn't realize that I was feeling depressed. There was depression there. It snuck in there. I'm like, sneaky little fuck. But I understand why. So I'm getting to that. But basically, this depression, frustration, and anger all stem not from getting the thing that I want or not getting the thing that I want, but from feeling unheard by the universe. And that's not true. The universe hears you at all times. The problem is you don't know how to communicate with the universe in order to get the things you want. And that is the crux of the issue. It's not in anything else other than you don't understand how to communicate your desires. And you don't even know what you do desire. That's another thing. Because the universe reads your frequency. And if your frequency says fear, depression, shame, all this other stuff, then that's all you're going to get. Not because the universe is cruel or because there's some punishment or divine justice or whatever that's happening. It's simply because whatever your frequency is, you will be slotted into like a puzzle piece. And what we can do is shapeshift our puzzle piece into the thing that we desire. And when you understand that fundamentally, that is when you truly, it clicks for you and you start living a completely different life. You start living in abundance. All the things that you truly want deep down, you will get, because you're living from that perspective. So you will get that. So how do you get that? How do you make that happen? Well, number one, you have to trust that the universe will pull through and make your desires happen. And what I mean by that is you can't get in your own way. It's really easy to overthink, overcomplicate, to try and force things, to like try and push yourself into a certain puzzle piece that doesn't actually fit, jam yourself in there and then be like, yep, I made it. And it's like, it's not what you wanted, truly. Then you don't even fit in that puzzle piece. So it fucks up. So by trusting, the trust really is letting go of how it happens. Knowing that it will happen in the best way possible for you. This is why keeping it concrete but vague. So an example, if you want safety, then you first need to feel safe inside. And when you exude the inside safety through healing the things that make you feel like you need safety outside, then safety comes because you are safety, if that makes sense. It's like you become... How's it going? It's like you become the thing that you desire, and then that resonant feeling is what attracts the same thing. So, and this is why people talk about the idea that you people talk about the idea of and I lost my... Oh, okay. So this is why when people talk about internal healing, myself included, and why it's so important, this is the end result. You don't think that healing internally is a big deal. But what you don't realize is if you don't do the internal healing, you'll never get the external things that match up with your internals. Or at least the things that match up with your internals are going to be skewed. Yeah, I'm going to go here. Going across the bridge. So here's an example. Someone has a scar, an internal scar, because as a child, they were abandoned. Okay? I love this analogy because it is so perfect for all of this stuff I'm talking about. So, abandoned as a kid, maybe by father, mother, schoolmates, whatever. And it hurt you internally, and so now you're afraid of people abandoning you. So what do? Well, externally, you cling because you don't want people to leave. And this clinging inevitably pushes people away because a healthy relationship does not revolve around clinging, whether it be a friendship, family, or a loved one. So you cling, and the cling is what pushes. Now, sometimes you can get into like a trauma bond or whatever where you both cling, and then maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, who knows. But regardless, this is an example. And so when it comes to manifesting, you do things like, oh, I want a partner that loves me, or a partner that doesn't run. How's it going?
Yeah. How you doing?
Oh, cute dog. So you have this kind of idea of like, you want a partner that doesn't run away or whatever. And inevitably, what you draw into you is not a partner that actually wants to be stable and secure. What you instead draw in is a partner that also has emotional insecurities around what's it called? Around being left, and, you know, having insecurities around being abandoned and stuff. So what ends up happening is you get into this scenario where you either trauma bond with the person, or the things that you do and the things that they do push each other away. And you're like, you can never find anyone that truly cares and truly wants to be with me, and, you know, all this stuff. And it happens over and over again. And you kind of wonder, well, why does this keep happening? And the answer as to why it keeps happening is because you haven't healed the deep down issue. It's actually a great spot for me to blow my nose. Okay. I'm gonna leave it like this. Okay. So anyway, so my point here is you basically run into a scenario where until you fix and heal the internal thing, the internal problem, you can't bring people who actually are like stable and who can love you in that deep way that you want, and who actually will stick by you. Because you're not at the level of being able to accept that. So this is why you first heal internally, and then once you've done the internal healing, then you're able to do the external like matchup. So getting back to manifesting, this is why before anything it's important to heal internally. If you truly want your life to change, you got to heal internally first. And then once you've done that, then the next phase, which is what I'm currently working on, is cleaning out all the clutter, all the things that no longer serve you as you currently are. And this could look like a lot of like giving away, selling, and just dumping stuff that doesn't really make sense for you to have anymore. Whew, okay. I think I'm gonna stop here and turn around. 35 minutes. I'll start walking back. Because tomorrow I'm gonna have an hour walk with my sister. So I should be able to not overstress myself if I do about an hour and 10 minutes. Because I haven't really done too much walking this past 2 weeks. Which again, this is where also, even though it's been 2 weeks, it's okay to not, you don't have to like shame yourself for the past, even if it's only been a couple days or a week ago. An example, I'm embarrassed with how mad I was. And you guys couldn't really tell. Like, yeah, I was annoyed and I was talking and I was frustrated and I was like venting. But like, internally, I was very frustrated. I just didn't really have much of a physical reaction, which is fine. That's like, I don't want to have some sort of physical reaction to being angry. So I'm really glad that, like, regardless of what emotions I have, the way I work them out is I feel through them, and then afterwards I kind of release them and let them go. And that's when yeah, that's just when things happen. So anyway, so what was I gonna say? So I'm glad, again, another thing, you have to be kind of like, you have to recognize why things happen the way they did. So like, I got sick, and then I got depressed, angry, frustrated, and all of these emotions stemmed from the idea that the past me kind of came out in the present as this kind of amalgamation of all the times that I felt frustrated and angry and sad because effectively I was never rescued, if that makes sense. It's like, Jesus Christ, the sun's crazy. But yeah, and here's the secret to the whole rescuing thing. No one will rescue you. The only one who can rescue you is you. This is why you can wish all you want and try and manifest, but if you're not taking the steps to go halfway with the universe, they won't happen. Not because the universe doesn't, again, not because it doesn't want to help you, but because your frequency that you're resonating isn't at that spot to be able to bring that thing into your life. here's an example. If you want to, I don't know, become a CEO of some company, because maybe it's your dream to work in that company and rise in the ranks and all that stuff. Well, if you don't even have a job in that company in the first place, how are you going to be able to rise the ranks? Now, to be fair, I would say that idea is probably not worth manifesting to begin with, because it's coming fundamentally from a place of looking at a desire that stems from something physical as opposed to something internal that you are looking for. So I would say, if you're wishing for something like that, first you need to understand why you're wishing for something like that. But anyway, getting back to it. So, if you're wanting something like that, but you're laying around in bed all day, maybe your whole, the current way that you do things is you lay in bed, you watch YouTube for like 5 hours, you make yourself a bowl of like beans and rice, and then it's like 5:30 and I don't know, let's say you try to do something at 5:30 and maybe you write like a paragraph in a book you had a thought of, or whatever. And then you're like, well, the day's ruined. Guess I'll have to wait until tomorrow to try and make my dreams happen. And then you lay in bed, you wish for whatever it is, and then the next day you rinse and repeat. Well, let me ask you, where in that life do you have the time to have a full-time job? And I'm asking this with all seriousness because you have to make room for the things that you're going to have in your life. If your daily life cannot accommodate the thing that you want, then how the hell is it even going to be capable of happening? Heard an owl, so I was looking for it. And you may say, oh, well, as soon as I get the job, then I'll start doing the new things. And this is where 99% of people fuck it up. Because it's like, okay, so what you're telling me is, let's say you want to be a writer. Because I used writing as a little example. And you're like, oh, well, I have so many cool ideas. I just need someone to give me a chance so I can start writing. It's like, okay, well, why aren't you just writing? If you truly want to be a writer, why aren't you writing? Because you're never going to be a writer if you never write. Same thing with we'll say you really love swimming. Well, if you never swim, I'll eventually start swimming again. I'll eventually get good at swimming. It's like, well, at that point you are truly delusional because you're not doing the thing that you want. Who says that you have to go through these hoops in order to make the thing happen? No one. You do not have to jump through a bunch of hoops to make it happen in the traditional sense. There are plenty of people who write every single day. And guess what? They hone their craft. Is their first writing piece the piece that everyone sees? No. It's the 50th, the 100th, the 200th piece that someone sees and is like, oh my God, this author just came out of nowhere. They're so good. I don't know where they came from, but like this indie author it's like they just started writing and it just worked. And it's like, no, that's not actually what happened. This person probably wrote for 10, 15 years, or maybe even 5 years. There's no real time frame that things actually have to happen in. It's all about how much time you dedicate to it. So, if you want to be a writer, you have to write. That's like a no-brainer. Here, I'm gonna move this a little bit up. There we go. I realized my head was getting partially cut off. I think this is a better length. Anyway, so using the writer example again and relating it to the manifesting. The only way that you'll become a writer is number one, to write, and number two, not just to write, but to spend a dedicated portion of your life writing, because that's something you actually care about. Learning about what makes writers better. Learning different sentence structures. Why does it help? Reading. Imagine a writer who's never read a book in their life trying to write. Yeah, it could happen. But like, compared to someone who has read 1,000 books, the person who hasn't read anything is starting at a very, very huge disadvantage because they don't even understand what makes a good book because they've never read anything before. You know, it's also similar when it comes to like really anything, but it's just people don't want to hear that they have to do work to make things happen. Because at the end of the day, no one wants to hear the only reason you're not a writer is because you're not doing the thing that makes you a writer. Because that gives them a certain level of responsibility for their actions. Does it mean that they didn't have something unfair happen to them. No, of course, there could be unfair circumstances, right? Like, of course, not everyone's going to be in a household that's rich. Not everyone's going to be in a household that even has two parents. And maybe even if they have two parents in the household, the chances of them having a family that is super supportive and loving and caring, like, who knows what the actual chances are of that. So you could be given, quote unquote, a shit hand. You grow up in a household where you have an abusive parent or parents, and, you know, whatever. Like, okay, sure. But, oh God, I'll say, I'm gonna show you guys. This fucking scared the shit out of me. I thought this was like some person, like creepy guy. This is, it's not even a jacket. Okay, so look behind me. You see that like log right there? That log looked like a head with a jacket, a black jacket from a distance. And I was like, oh my God, is that like a fucking Slender Man or something? Like, I kept talking for a second, and but my heart was like, oh fuck, what is gonna happen here? Oh my God. Okay. Anyway. So. Getting back to what I was talking about. Really, you have to be doing the thing first. That's a foundational thing. And what I mean by doing the thing first, what is it? Here's okay. Doesn't matter what the thing is. Right now, sit down and think about this for a second. Pause the video, because this will help you a lot, okay? Well, pause the video after I say the thing. Here, I'll even stand here. Okay. So, you have a desire. First, whatever the desire is, cool. I'm glad that you figured out a desire. But, Jesus, fuck off. I actually gotta keep walking. You get attacked by fucking mosquitoes. Okay. The exercise. Picture your desire, and then I want you to picture you doing the thing. Whatever it is. Now, as you're picturing it, I want you to start writing down what it is that you are doing in whatever this desire is. So, an example, if you're a writer and you're like, I want to be a world-renowned author. Great, okay. what does a world-renowned author look like to you? And then you start listing it off. Okay, well, you know, of course I get up, I, you know, get ready for the day. Maybe you think meditation's a part of this person's routine or whatever. And then you're like, okay. Then I start writing. I'll go to Starbucks and I'll bring out my laptop and I'll order a drink and then I'll start typing. And maybe I had some shower thoughts that I was like, oh my gosh, this is such a good idea. And then you start typing about the shower thoughts. And then you have lunch. And then afterwards, you pack up for the day because you've already written 5,000 words. And you're like, good enough. And then, boom, you're done. Then you have the whole rest of the day to yourself to do whatever you want. But instead of doing whatever you want, this author takes the extra time to read some of the other authors in their genre so that they can get interesting, different perspectives on the genre so that they can spur on their knowledge. So maybe at the end of the day, you're actually reading a cozy book by a fire or whatever it is, you know, okay? Fuck. I gotta blow my nose. Is there any... I want to just set it down. Fuck it. I'm gonna put it right here. Hold on a second, laddies. Okay, sorry about that. How's it going? Good. But okay. So yeah, what I was saying, didn't get any dirt or anything. Sorry, I was just checking to see if there's any dirt. So this is like the day that you imagine this writer to have. And this is also a day that you want to have. Okay? Now this is the key part. If you imagined all of this, which, you know, if you haven't, pause the video and do the stuff that I just talked about. Rewind if you need to. But, like, do that. And then ask yourself at the end of this, well, okay, is this something that I actually desire as my daily life? Because if the answer is no, then you don't actually want to do that. You just like the concept, not the actual thing. Because if you like the actual thing, then this would be totally fine. You'd actually be like, hell yeah, if I could get paid to live like that, that would be great. So, and this is how you actually figure out your desires. Because what you're doing is you're sitting down and you're like, what kind of daily life can I imagine myself living that I actually want to live on a daily basis? And if the answer is As an example, sit around and play video games all day. Well, okay. If that's truly what you want, which there's nothing wrong with that, but if that's truly what you want, then what you need to do so I'm just like, what the fuck is that? It's a little bird. Okay. If that's truly what you want, okay, fine. You're doing what you want to do, I assume. And so the next step would be, how do you monetize that? Because you obviously have to have a living somehow. So maybe it's being a streamer, a YouTuber, a Let's Play person. Maybe you can become a strategy guide person. Maybe you come up with really cool builds in different games and you're like, you do all the math. So you create a website in order to do the math behind the scenes for people and help them figure out builds and whatever it is. You know, there's an innumerable number of ways to, if this is truly what you care about. Now, this is important. If there's something you want to do, but you don't know how to start it, you first need to ask yourself what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish. So if your end goal is, here, I'll give you an example. Let's say you want to be an inventor, and you, Jesus Christ, I'm sweating so much. But let's say you want to be an inventor. What you need to do is you need to ask yourself first why. Well, you're not just going to randomly invent just BS and throw it out there. You have a specific reason why you want to be an inventor. Maybe it's like, so an example, when I was younger helping my grandfather, I came up with solutions to help make his life easier. So at one point I did actually want to be an inventor because I was like, oh my God, it'd be so cool to be able to do this for a living. You know, coming up with the like, how could we make something that could help automatically put on your socks? As an example. Or how to get people to sit down on their toilet seats without falling back because they have really bad balance. Things like that, where, you know, I noticed a need, and so I was like, this is what I want to make. But I quickly realized, I tried, by the way, at one point. I bought some supplies and I started tinkering. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, which is fine. But like, I realized very quickly that what I actually wanted was help with helping my grandfather. That's really what it was. And at the time, I thought, oh, I was just going to be some inventor or something. But no, it was, I wanted help because I felt overwhelmed. And so this is where, you know, doing the healing and all the other stuff, the soul searching, they all kind of mesh together into this singular kind of whole of you understanding yourself, understanding what you want in life, picturing the life you want to live, and then living as close to that life as you can. Where everything is meshing together. And that doesn't mean that you need to just drop everything you're doing and start living that life. What I mean by that is show the universe that this is actually what you want. Fuck, man. I'm getting eaten alive. Fuck. But yeah. So it's these kinds of things that make up true manifestation in the truest sense, where it's like when you live as a writer, you become a writer. And I know that sounds like duh. If I do the thing I want to do, then I become the thing I want to be, right? Yeah, but you're not going to become the thing you want to be without you first, Jesus Christ. I almost got on the same area. Fuck off. Okay, but yeah. So this is why doing all these steps is important, because you can't just skip ahead and wish. And that's kind of where my past self was. My past self was in this mode of just hoping something will change, not doing anything myself to change, right? And so, of course, the moment you actually start making the effort to walk halfway, that's when things change for you. But not until then. How's it going? Okay. I'm just about out. I'm at 110. Yeah, 110. That's not bad. But, yeah. This is why. This is the difference between past me and present me. Present me understands that the life I need to live is the one that... Hey guys, it is 7:54, and I'm sorry about the, what's it called? where the video ended. I was like just finishing my thought, and then the video cut because I ended up having my battery just died on the camera, and I was like, well, I'm right at the entrance, so do I want to switch my camera? And then there was two people, one coming to me and one coming behind me. I was like, is there really a point to switching the battery and like finishing that last little thought? Because I basically finished everything I wanted to say. So yeah, sorry for the abrupt cut. But yeah. Anyway, I hope that what I was talking about made sense to everyone. At the end of the day, the foundation for getting the things you want is kind of meeting in the middle. So you do the thing, embody the thing that you want to be doing, and then that thing will come to you. So if you want to be a writer, write. If you want to be someone who travels, travel. If you want to, so on and so forth. And if you're like, no, I don't want to do those things, then maybe the things you want to do are actually not those things, but maybe there's something underlying that you need to kind of figure out in order to actually just like get there. I don't know if that makes sense. So sorry, I'm moving the mic a little closer. I don't know if my fan is super annoying or not. That's going. It's a AC unit for the wall. But because my room was like 80 degrees, and I'm like, no, thank you. I just got like done with the day, and I don't want to I don't want to sleep in an 80-degree room. So, anyway. So my point with all of this is true manifesting and the things that do manifest, because it's not you're always manifesting. It's not like sometimes you do and sometimes you don't. That's kind of like, that's the secret. You're always manifesting. And so it's not something you necessarily have to do in an active sense. It's more of the things you do on a daily basis are the things that pull the manifestations that resonate with those things to you. So now obviously having desires internally is also part of it, and kind of like stating your desires or formally kind of like writing them out or kind of bringing them to the surface helps draw things in faster, as long as they all kind of resonate together, right? So, if you enjoy writing and you're like, I want to be an author. Well, keeping yourself focused on I want to be an author and I'm writing and all of this stuff, like all of that, comes together and compounds what you're already doing. So there are ways to speed up the manifestation. But truly, the things that you resonate with will show up to you. So, and that's kind of what I've been bringing up, and that's what I've been talking about this whole time, is you have to match the thing that you want. And so that's why I say things like wanting to win the lottery or whatever, like maybe you could technically like manifest that if you really tried to force it, but it's like, do you actually want to win the lottery, or is there something underlying about winning the lottery that you desire? Because at the end of the day, like money, fame, um, being acknowledged, these things all kind of are surface level relative to the internal things that you feel you're lacking or that you want in your life. So if you want a partner, as an example, then you should make sure that you're loving yourself. Why? Because you loving yourself brings out all of the positive qualities about you that then when you interact with other people and you are genuine with them, the people who find that attractive will interact with you. And so it won't be a matter of like, oh, I can't find the right person because every time I find someone, they just don't like me when we get to know each other and blah, 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 whatever. Well, that won't happen if you're just being your genuine self and you're loving yourself and so on and so forth. So, yeah. Um, it's stuff like this where, there's more to all of that I was talking about with the like partner and whatever, but it can really be anything where the underlying thing, it's like, why do you want a partner? An example, it's like, okay, well, maybe there's a sense of like feeling alone or feeling misunderstood or not feeling loved, so on and so forth. And when you break it down, you begin to realize it's not the partner itself that you're actually wanting, it's the things the partner brings that you imagine would be brought to you that you actually are desiring, such as, in a lot of cases, it's love. This is why I say love yourself. Because when you love yourself, truly, in a true sense, when you love yourself, then you don't need to look for it in anyone else. And so, sure, a partner can bring love in a different way, where it is nice to have someone outside of you that loves you. And in the end, we're all one being, but whatever. I've beaten that horse to death. But like, me looking at other me effectively, if I love myself, then people can feel that because you do things for yourself that, like taking care of yourself, so on and so forth, that radiate out and that attracts people in that also love themselves and that don't necessarily need you to love them in order for them to be like happy. And so when you're both in that state, then the love that you can kind of exchange with each other is totally different, and deeper. But anyway, so yeah, so it really is asking yourself what the core root of whatever your desires are, and then working on that. and giving that to yourself. And then once you're giving that to yourself internally and healing that and doing all the things you want to do internally, then externally, your world shifts to accommodate all the things you've done internally. So, anyway, I really do need to make like some sort of more structured, maybe like guided meditations or something that can kind of help kind of work through stuff. I'm not too sure about what that's going to look like, but I've been talking about the side content for a while. I still don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but anyway, well, hopefully you guys enjoyed the walk today, and I'm not going to film the stuff with my sister tomorrow. We're just going to have fun in the morning and walk. So tomorrow might be a short one. I don't know how early I'm going to wake up, but assuming I wake up early enough, I'll do a quick like hey, how's it going in the morning, and then evening stuff. But I'm probably going to be a little tired. So I don't think I'm going to do 2 walks, but either way, we'll see what tomorrow brings. But all right, thanks. I will talk to you guys tomorrow. Have a good night. Bye.